Welcome, dear friends. Today we're stepping into an ancient world covered by the sands of time and mystery. Close your eyes and imagine. Before you, endless golden deserts stretch out, and in the distance, pyramids rise, their peaks shining with the sunlight that spills across the land, turning everything to gold. Even the stars in the dark night sky seem to gaze down at us like the eyes of ancient gods. Here, a door opens to the world of the ancient Egyptians who lived thousands of years ago. As we step through, it's like the heavens and earth come together and whisper a mysterious song, "Discover me. Hear my secrets." Have you ever wondered how these myths began? Atom, born from timeless darkness, shone alone in the void, creating the very beginning of everything. It's here in these lands that the stories of gods were written, immortal, Ra lighting up the sky every morning, Isis unraveling mysteries and giving life to Osiris, and Horus stepping into battle to avenge his father. Egypt's gods didn't just exist in the sky. Among the stars, they were everywhere, in every stone, in every grain of sand. Believe me, behind each of them, there was a hidden secret deep within. Today, together, we'll step into this magical land, where gods and mortals touched, where life and death danced in harmony. Guided by Ra's light, in the peace of Osiris, and under the compassion of Isis, we will move forward. And of course, as we go deeper, we'll uncover new secrets. Now, get ready, my friends, because once this journey begins, you'll never be the same again. My dear friends, now I'm going to take you to the deepest, quietest corners of existence. To that first moment when even time hadn't yet been born, when nothing existed anywhere, and everything was just a great chaos. This endless void in the eyes of the ancient Egyptians was known as Nun. It had swallowed everything with the deep and vast power of water. It was so vast and infinite that there was neither sky nor earth, only boundless darkness and silence. Nun, in fact, was the source of all existence, the beginning of everything, and perhaps the great void to which it would one day return. But in these depths, something began to stir, to shine. A force desiring to exist was born from within, and one day from this great void a shining being emerged, Atom. Atom alone, born from his own essence, was the first god to come and start everything. Though he appeared solitary and alone, he carried within him the seeds of life. With his will, he found a place in the midst of chaos, and thus began to lay the foundations of the universe. That moment was the first birth of order from chaos. Adam didn't choose to remain alone. From his creative power, he created Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture and water. From their union, Nut, representing the sky, and Jeeb, representing the earth, were born. Through their harmonious existence, the sky finally rose, and the earth spread beneath it. And so, the building blocks of the universe were formed by Adam's will, and the first order emerging from chaos began to shape the eternal mythology of Egypt. And let me tell you, friends, there's a great secret hidden deep in this story. Would Adam, the one who shaped chaos, the origin of everything, reunite with that magnificent void? Would he return to the depths of Nun, back to that dark chaos? This is the mystery at the heart of Egypt's mythology, and we're just at the beginning of our journey. Now, as we continue through this creation story, we'll see how the first gods came together to create an even greater world, and how this order inspired the ancient people of Egypt. My dear friends, now I'm going to tell you the magnificent story of how the gods came from one single family tree, how the sky, the earth, and every element were born from it. This is the story of the Ennead, the sacred nine of Heliopolis, the powerful group of gods who created a bond and order among the deities. Each god and goddess is like a branch of a tree, giving life to this universe, in this ancient hierarchy. It all began with Adam, the first light, the creative force. But Adam's loneliness pushed him to plant the seeds of a sustainable order, which is why he created his first children, Shu and Tefnut. Shu, the god of the winds and air, the source of all breaths, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture and rain, who stood beside him, watering and nourishing nature. Shu and Tefnut, through their sacred union, brought forth Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the boundless goddess of the sky. Oh, the love between Geb and Nut was so strong that Shu had to step in the sky and earth had to be separated to maintain order. With this separation, the sky rose in Nut's arms, and beneath her, Geb's fertile land spread. But the story doesn't end there, my friends. The four beings born from the union of Geb and Nut became the most powerful gods and goddesses of Egypt: Osiris, Isis, Seth, and Nephthys. These four siblings were here to establish the hierarchy of the Aeneid and the ancient balance. They brought order and harmony to the world, but also conflict. Osiris, the god of fertility, the rebirth and cycle of life; Isis, the master of wisdom and magic, the goddess who kept the deepest secrets; and Seth, the embodiment of chaos, war, and conflict. Nephthys was born as the goddess of night and death. Osiris ruled the earth, bringing abundance and prosperity, but his brother Seth's jealousy led to events that would shake the order of the Aeneid. This hierarchy had established the bonds and power balance between the gods so tightly that in every step there was both balance and disorder hidden. This family tree of the Aeneid planted the seeds for all the events in Egyptian mythology. The power of each god and goddess was balanced by another's, my friends. As we continue this journey, we will see how these balances were disrupted, how they turned against one another. Now in the next part, we'll dive deeper to understand Osiris's fate, Isis's loyalty, and Seth's hatred. Are you ready? Ah, my friends, now I'm going to tell you about a love so powerful that, in its name, the gods had to separate the sky from the earth. In this story, you'll witness the parting of Nut, the vast goddess of the heavens, and Geb, the god who rules over the deep earth. Their love was so intense, so passionate, that it has been etched into every grain of the earth and the endless blue of the sky. Let's dive into how this love shaped the Egyptian universe and brought order to the world. When Geb and Nut were born as the children of the first gods of the universe, they felt an irresistible attraction toward each other. Geb, the god of the earth, was in the veins of the soil, in the stability of the mountains, and in every flower and stone. Nut, on the other hand, was the goddess of the sky, a blue canopy adorned with stars, ruling over the cycle of night and day. Their union was like the earth rising to meet the sky and the sky descending to touch the earth. The universe found light in their togetherness. But dear friends, the harmony their union brought also threatened the balance of the universe. As Nut remained in Geb's embrace, the sky drew closer to the earth, narrowing the endless vastness. Fearing that this would disturb the cosmic balance, Adam decided that, despite their deep bond, they must be separated. And so Shu, the god of air, the protector of the vast space between the heavens and the earth, was forced to intervene. With his strong arms, Shu separated Geb and Nut, lifting the sky above and spreading the earth below a distance. A boundary was set between the two lovers. At night, Nut expressed her longing for Geb in the sky, adorning it with stars, while Geb, with the plants on his surface, showed his love for Nut every spring through blooming flowers. Thus, between the sky and the earth, a boundary was created, not just physically, but also emotionally, an everlasting love story, the stuff of legends. As Geb expanded on the earth, Nut embraced him like a dome in the sky, and it was believed that every cloud and raindrop carried the traces of their love. With this separation, the creation of the world took shape, my friends. Now there was a clear boundary between heaven and earth for the gods. Geb represented the earth, where plants and life were born, while Nut continued to watch over him as the starry, infinite sky. So what kind of order and chaos did this love between the sky and the earth bring to the gods' lives? In the next chapters, we'll trace its effects and witness the ancient conflicts between Geb and Nut's children. Are you ready? Ah, my dear friends. The story I'm about to tell is one of life and death, of betrayal and loyalty, of destruction and rebirth, a tale as old as time itself. This is the legendary and tragic story of Osiris and Isis, a love that lies at the very heart of Egyptian mythology. So, if you're ready, let's journey into this unforgettable tale of the gods. Osiris was the wisest and most just among the gods on earth. Known as a king who taught humanity about farming, law, and order, he was seen by the people of Egypt as a guiding light. Osiris wasn't just any ruler. His generosity, wisdom, and kindness brought peace to all lands. He worked tirelessly to provide for his people, filling their fields with abundance and bringing life to the soil through the waters of the Nile. Beside him stood his loyal and wise wife, Isis, balancing his rule. Together, they became the ultimate symbols of unity and justice. But my friends, peace sometimes stirs envy in the shadows. Osiris's brother, Seth, grew jealous, consumed by resentment toward the order and harmony Osiris had created. Seth's eyes were set on the throne, his heart full of bitterness. Driven by ambition, Seth devised a dark plan to overthrow Osiris and take his place. Inviting Osiris to a grand feast, seemingly a gesture of goodwill, Seth actually had betrayal in mind. Trusting his brother, Osiris attended the feast, unaware of the danger awaiting him. During the gathering, Seth presented a beautifully crafted, golden chest, declaring that he would gift it to whoever fit inside it perfectly. When Osiris lay down in the chest, Seth swiftly sealed it shut, trapping him inside. He then cast the chest into the Nile, leaving his brother to the cold depths. Isis's love for Osiris would not be shaken, even by this terrible betrayal. When she learned of his disappearance, her heart ached, but she didn't give up. She searched tirelessly, examining every stone, every path, every drop of water to find Osiris. With fierce determination and sorrowful eyes, she traveled along the Nile, driven by hope at every stop, through every desert. At long last, she found his body. But alas, friends, the tragedy did not end there. Seth, seeking to finish what he had begun, found Osiris's body and tore it into 14 pieces, scattering them across Egypt, ensuring that Osiris could never rise again and his rule would be ended forever. But Isis's resolve was unbreakable, my friends. She vowed to collect every piece of her beloved and set out once more. Bearing her grief step after step, with tears in her eyes, she gathered every fragment of Osiris's body, one by one. When she had them all, she used the power of the gods to bring him back to life. However, Osiris was no longer bound to the world of the living. He was destined to rule in the underworld as the god of death and rebirth, journeying into eternity. And so, dear friends, Isis bore a son named Horus from Osiris. This young god would grow to avenge his father and restore order to Egypt. Through his legendary battles with Seth, Horus would honor his father's memory and bring justice to the people once more. Are you curious about the trials Horus faced and how he wielded his fury in the struggle to bring peace back to the land? In the next chapter, we will witness the fateful clash between Horus and Seth. Ah, my dear friends. If you're ready, let me take you into the heart of an unforgettable clash. This wasn't just a war, it was the eternal battle between good and evil, love and hate, order and chaos. While Osiris's heart beat for justice, his brother Seth's heart had been consumed by jealousy and rage. Left behind was Osiris's son, Horus, who grew up determined to avenge his father and restore balance in Egypt. And now the time had come. Young Horus gathered his strength, ready to challenge Seth. Horus had become a symbol of justice and protection, just as his father once was. He was strong, brave, and wise, but also carried a deep sorrow and a burning desire for revenge. When Isis, who had raised him, told him of what happened to Osiris, her tears only fueled the fire within Horus. He swore an oath to end Seth's tyranny and wickedness, vowing to his people that Egypt would once again be ruled with justice and that peace and order would return to their lands. So began a fierce battle for power across Egypt's fertile soil. In their first battles, Horus and Seth struck each other with blows that seemed to shake the very heavens. This wasn't just a simple fight. Every punch, every move was an expression of the battle between good and evil itself. In Seth's eyes burned ambition and arrogance, while Horus's eyes shone with courage and loyalty to his father's memory. This struggle lasted for years, dear friends. They clashed in many places, sometimes by the banks of the Nile, sometimes in the depths of the desert. Every battle held great meaning for the people of Egypt. With each victory, Horus claimed, hope grew among the people, but each of Seth's wins cast a shadow of despair over their hearts. Seth's cunning knew no bounds. Driven by blind ambition, he set traps for Horus, trying to thwart him, but Horus's faith and love for justice held him steady each time. And remember, this fight wasn't only physical. At one point, Seth struck a low blow, attempting to take Horus's eye. But the eye Horus lost was restored by divine powers, giving him a strength beyond the mortal. Known today as the Eye of Horus, it remains a symbol of justice, protection, and goodness. Through these battles, Horus became a warrior god, a figure of justice in the eyes of his people. Finally, the Council of Gods gathered to end this seemingly endless struggle. In the name of Egypt's peace, they recognized Horus's right and granted him Osiris's throne. Horus brought justice, peace, and harmony to his people, while Seth was banished to the underworld, forever the god of chaos in the desert. This epic battle left an indelible mark on the minds of the Egyptian people. Good had triumphed over evil, yet the world would never be quite the same again. But what changes did Horus's ascension bring to Egypt? Would the peaceful days that lasted for generations face new threats? In our next story, we'll uncover how Horus's legacy shaped the fate of Egypt and its people.
My dear friends, now I'll take you beyond the known world, past the edges of reality, on an immortal journey of souls. This isn't just any passage. It's the ancient voyage into the afterlife realm ruled by Osiris. Only those with truth in their hearts can walk this path. So welcome to the grand scene of the final judgment, where souls are weighed. For the people of Egypt, death wasn't simply an end. It was a passage in the endless cycle of existence. The body would be left behind as the spirit took form and began its journey to Osiris's realm. Osiris, the supreme judge of the afterlife, god of justice and order, awaited each soul at the sacred heart of this journey. Once a ruler of Egypt's fertile lands, he had become the symbol of truth and justice in the underworld. And now, he sat on his throne of wisdom, as every soul prepared to stand before him. When that crucial moment came, dear friends, the soul would step through the gate into the land of the dead. But it wasn't just a place of shadows. Souls would first feel the gaze of gods and ancient kings, then move forward to face Osiris on his throne. There, at the sacred scales, Anubis, Horus's loyal companion, would be waiting. Anubis placed the heart of the soul on one side of the scale, with Maat's feather of truth and justice on the other. This was the divine test of fate. If the heart balanced with the feather, the soul would attain eternal peace. But if it was weighed down by sin, the soul would be fed to the merciless Maat. Osiris's judgment was essential here, my friends. His gaze pierced into the depths of a soul, revealing even the smallest actions taken in life. This is why the Egyptians embraced honesty and avoided wickedness as a way of life, knowing that nothing escaped Osiris' sight. What a great judge indeed! His justice wasn't about laws. It was about the truth held in one's heart. If a soul could prove itself worthy, eternal peace awaited. Osiris would reach out and embrace the spirit, guiding it to the fields of Aaru, the lush paradise of eternal life and endless abundance. Here, souls would be reborn, living forever in joy with loved ones. This was the ultimate hope for every Egyptian, a serene end for those who sought truth throughout their lives, a paradise valley of eternal life. Yet not all who walked this path succeeded. Every mistake, every injustice followed them to the afterlife, adding weight on the scales. Under Osiris's rule, all accounts were settled fairly. There was no place for mercy. So, my dear friends, is this where the journey of those who attain eternal life ends? Or do new adventures and journeys await them even in the afterlife? In our next story, we'll discover the lives of souls in that endless valley and unveil the deep mysteries of Osiris's eternal rule. Ah, my dear friends, let me take you on a journey to one of the most powerful cycles of existence, the legendary journey that the mighty Ra, who carries the sun itself, undertakes each day. This is more than just a trip. It's the eternal struggle between light and darkness. With each new dawn, Ra's ancient battles come to life again, a reminder to all creation of the relentless power of light. As the sun god Ra sailed across the high heavens in his magnificent boat from sunrise to sunset, he flooded the world with light. This sacred boat, crafted by the hands of the gods, glimmered with the pure energy of the sun itself in every detail. Ra's solar barge wasn't just a source of light. It was a shield for the universe, a preserver of life. But each night, as Ra and his boat ventured beyond the earthly and heavenly realms into the underworld's deepest darkness, he faced a daunting test. During his journey through the dark waters of the underworld, Ra encountered a lurking threat, Apophis, the strongest of serpents, the very embodiment of darkness. This immense serpent sought to devour Ra's light, to plunge the universe into eternal shadow. Apophis was so powerful that the nightly battle between Ra and Apophis became a cosmic clash, echoing through the underworld. The gods on Ra's boat bore witness to this battle and lent their power to support him. Thus, the relentless struggle between light and dark played out each night. When Apophis attacked Ra's barge with his massive coils, the world felt the weight of those dark moments. The winds would still, and the earth would fall silent. But Ra never surrendered, fiercely guarding his light against all odds. The gods and protectors at his side fought off Apophis's onslaught. With the principles of Maat, order and justice, burning in his heart, Ra countered Apophis. Each time the serpent's enormous fangs drew close to the boat, Ra's light grew even stronger, piercing through the darkness. This struggle each night gave rise to hope for the new dawn. And then, as the sky began to lighten, dear friends, Ra's victory spread across the world like a promise. Emerging from the depths of the underworld, the great god in his barge declared the birth of a new day. This was no ordinary journey. It was a sacred triumph of order and goodness over chaos. From that moment, the sun would once again rise in the heavens, bringing life to all living beings. Ra's light didn't just illuminate the earth. It brought peace and hope to the spirit as well. The sunrise each morning reminds us of the power in this ancient cycle. Ra's nightly battle with Apophis was more than a clash between gods. It was a tale to show all of us that light and goodness will always prevail. And with each day's first light, Ra's victory breathes life into the earth and into every soul. Every sunrise whispers this ancient story to us as Ra's strength, wisdom, and endless light embrace all of existence. Ah, the sacred animals of Egypt. In this ancient land, every animal held a sacred quality, each one seen as an earthly reflection of divine power. They weren't just ordinary creatures. Each was a mark, a symbol from the gods. Can you imagine how Egyptian priests saw a divine light in the eyes of those quiet but powerful beings? The immortal gods of Egypt revealed themselves through these animals, touching the world as symbols of their strength and qualities. Close your eyes and picture yourself walking through an Egyptian temple. Under the shining sun, with sand glistening and towering columns all around, the spirits of the gods roamed in the forms of animals. One of the most iconic was Horus, the god with the head of a falcon. As the god of the sky and often associated with pharaohs, each falcon's piercing gaze felt like the embodiment of divine justice and protection to an Egyptian. Horus, spreading his wings, was like a guardian watching over Egypt from above. For the Egyptians, looking into the eyes of a falcon was like looking into the eyes of the god himself, with justice, fury, and protection all wrapped in that sharp gaze. Now imagine, as you continue down the temple corridors, encountering a jackal with a sly yet wise look. This was Anubis, god of death and embalming, often shown with a jackal's head. And why a jackal, you ask? Well, dear friends, jackals would roam the graveyards at night, keeping company with the souls of the dead. Egyptians believed Anubis safely guided souls to the other side. The jackal's head symbolized a deep knowledge of death and what lies beyond, almost like a secret held in Anubis's gaze. So whenever Egyptians saw a jackal, they weren't just looking at an animal. They were gazing upon the silent guide of death. And then there's Hathor, the goddess of love and motherhood, often depicted with a cow's head. Hathor represented grace and compassion, and her connection to cows came from their association with fertility. A cow's milk was like a nurturing cure for new life. Thus, Hathor became a beloved figure of protection and care. When Egyptians saw Hathor's symbols in temples, they felt wrapped in her warm embrace, as if connecting to nature's mother herself. These symbolic animals of Egyptian gods weren't just visual depictions. Each was a reflection of the god's qualities and powers. The special places these animals held in the temples showed the depth of Egyptian faith. Seeing these animals, an Egyptian would feel as though the gods were watching, guiding each of their steps. Now, we've delved into the world of these sacred symbols, but there's more to ponder, dear friends. Did the Egyptians only revere animals, or was there a deeper connection between these gods and us mortals? Next, we'll uncover how the gods guided the people of Egypt and touched their everyday lives. Maat, the immortal goddess of justice, balance, and cosmic order. Maat was the principle, the belief, and the reason for existence that held all of Egypt's order together. Close your eyes for a moment and transport yourself to ancient Egypt. Back then, Maat wasn't just a goddess. She was the fundamental law for life, the universe, and death to continue in harmony. The voice of Maat echoed in the hearts of every pharaoh, priest, and even every pharaoh, priest, and even every Egyptian, because she was the very essence of order itself. Maat established a balance that extended from the deepest parts of the universe to all of creation. This wasn't just true among humans, but also among the gods. She was the opposite of chaos and disorder. Maat was known as the pillar that held the world up, the mysterious force that maintained the harmony of the universe. That's why, for the people of Egypt, showing respect to Maat was equivalent to showing respect to life itself. Pharaohs would bow before her, and even ordinary people would strive to honor her. Maat's symbol was depicted as a feather placed on her head. This feather, light like a scale used to measure the honesty of the heart, was both delicate and immensely valuable. Maat wasn't just the goddess of goddesses. She was also the guarantor of the pharaoh's soul and the peace of the people. Pharaohs would swear to protect her dignity and remain loyal to her. A pharaoh who acted against her order was considered to have rebelled against both the people and the gods. Therefore, every ruler had to live up to Maat. They had to uphold justice, treat their people well, and wage wars only when absolutely necessary. Because any chaos that disturbed Maat's balance would affect not just the pharaoh but the entire kingdom. Each person under her laws became part of a greater whole, striving to walk in the light of her wisdom. So much so that even in daily life, following Maat's path was seen as a sacred duty. Egyptians would adhere to her teachings in their everyday lives. Lying, stealing, or harming others was considered a violation of Maat's laws. And after death, this loyalty would be tested. Every soul that entered the presence of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, would be weighed by Maat's feather. One side of the scale would hold the heart, and the other side would hold the heart, and the other side would hold Maat's feather. If the heart was light and pure, it meant the soul had lived according to Maat's order, and that soul would be accepted into the heavenly gardens. But if the heart was heavier than the feather, that soul would be dragged into chaos. This is why, in the heart of every Egyptian, Maat's law resonated in every day they lived. Think about it, my friends. How a powerful understanding of balance and order was the very foundation of a civilization. Maat was felt in every corner of Egypt, and even pharaohs couldn't find peace on their thrones unless they followed her laws. But Maat's justice wasn't the only guiding principle in Egypt. What about the other goddesses, gods, and the powerful bonds they formed with the people? In the next step, we'll dive deeper to explore the other sacred beings of this ancient land.
The sacred atmosphere of the Egyptian temples. Here we step into another world just as important as the order of Maat, those magnificent structures, dedicated to reaching the god's presence, day by day sanctified, echoing with prayers. In Egypt, a temple wasn't just a stone building, it was the earthly reflection of the heavens, a place where gods met with humans. Anyone who stepped inside would leave behind the ordinary world of daily life and take on the responsibility of approaching the sacred. Imagine this, my friends, in the early hours of the morning. As the first rays of the sun shimmered across the waters of the Nile, the priests would prepare to enter the presence of the gods. First, they would ritually cleanse themselves, then light sacred incense. The scent of these incenses wasn't just a symbol of devotion for those present, but for the entire temple's loyalty to the gods. The priests and priestesses filling the temple courtyards would carry out each movement with precision, following a dazzling ritual sequence to honor the gods. At the heart of the temples, amid their grandeur, stood sacred statues dedicated to the gods. These statues were considered the earthly reflections of the deities, which is why the daily offerings, prayers, and foods placed before them were treated with the utmost care, as though directly presented to the gods. Pharaohs. Egypt's mighty pharaohs. They were not just rulers but bridges between the gods and the people. As children of the gods, it was their duty to convey their will to the people and bow before them in these sacred temples. Each pharaoh was specially trained to access the favor of the gods. Their task was to communicate with the gods in the temples, and the messages they received determined Egypt's future. The power granted to the pharaohs by the gods was watched with deep respect, not only by the people of Egypt, but by neighboring civilizations as well. But these sacred rituals weren't just for pharaohs. The priests, too, were recognized as servants of the gods in these noble duties. Every priest had to carry out their responsibilities with the utmost care. Some were assigned to sweep the temple courtyard, others to offer fresh fruits to the god statues. Every one of these tasks was an expression of devotion to the gods. At the end of the day, all these rituals symbolized respect for the gods' presence, because maintaining a strong bond with them was essential for Egypt's prosperity. Every act of worship, every prayer, every offering strengthened that connection. Words can't truly capture how significant these sacred duties were for the people of Egypt, my friends. This relationship with the gods was central to the entire society, from the pharaohs and priests to even the most humble individuals. And when we think about how deep this bond was, we might ask the next question: what about the people's beliefs regarding life after death, beyond their sacred life in the presence of the gods? In this ancient land, even death was a journey that served Maat's balance. So let's dive into these ancient secrets together in the next chapter. The mysterious secrets of death and rebirth. Let's take a moment to explore how death was met with profound wisdom in these ancient lands. In Egyptian beliefs, death wasn't the final end, it was the soul embarking on an eternal journey. And right at that moment of transition, the shadow of Anubis, the guardian of the dead, would appear. Anubis, the jackal-headed god, the friend of the deceased, the one who knew their secrets and guided them, stood as their protector. Throughout the mummification ritual, his silent yet powerful presence could always be felt. Mummification, preparing a body for the soul's eternal journey. This, my friends, was about much more than just preserving a body. To the Egyptians, the body was the soul's home on earth, and this connection needed to be preserved even after death. The mummification process was a sacred ritual carried out under the watchful eye of Anubis. The priests, wearing jackal-headed masks to represent Anubis, would follow his steps, carefully preparing the body. First, the internal organs were carefully removed and stored in special jars, for they were the pieces the soul would need for its journey in the afterlife. Each step was accompanied by prayers, and every action was taken with the blessing of the gods. Then, the body would be wrapped in linen cloth, ensuring the connection between the body and soul was never severed. But my dear friends, these preparations weren't just limited to the mummification ritual. There was an even greater test the soul had to face before passing into the afterlife, the ritual of the heart weighing. Under Anubis' guidance, the soul would be brought before Osiris, where a great judgment would take place. The soul's heart would be placed on one side of a scale, and on the other side, the feather of Maat would be placed. This feather symbolized justice and cosmic balance. The scale would weigh all the good and evil the soul had done during its life. If the heart was as light as the feather, the soul would reach eternal peace. However, if the heart was heavy, weighed down with sin, it would be condemned to eternal destruction. For the Egyptians, this was the gateway to the afterlife. If the heart was light, the soul would be accepted among the gods. And so, my friends, for the Egyptians, death wasn't the end, but the beginning of a divine journey. This journey, overseen by Anubis, would culminate in the soul achieving eternal balance. Their deep reverence for death shaped the lives of the Egyptian people, because they knew that everything done in this world would be weighed in the scales of eternity. So in the next step, are you ready to dive a little deeper into the sacred path of this journey and explore more of Egyptian mythology's profound depths? Now let's dive into the light of knowledge, the power of writing, and the deep mysteries of time. We're going to talk about Thoth, my friends, the wisest of all gods in Egypt, the protector of writing and science, the guardian of cosmic order, Thoth. Here, in these ancient lands, it was believed that every letter, every word was born from his hands. Thoth, the moon god, illuminated the night sky. But it wasn't just the darkness of the night he lit up, it was also the darkness of the mind. Isn't that fascinating? Deep as the night, calm as the moon, wise as the stars. Thoth was the one who held the treasure of all wisdom in the universe, the advisor to the gods, and the light of knowledge. His job wasn't just to possess knowledge, it was to protect it, maintain order, and keep track of the right time. Thoth was Ra's most trusted advisor. It was such a task that it required a wisdom capable of even guiding the sun god, Ra. As Ra battled darkness and rose again every morning, he would turn to Thoth's wisdom, for it was Thoth who had to provide guidance in finding order on the chaotic road ahead. This wise god, who illuminated Ra's path, also settled disputes among the gods and ensured the cosmic order was maintained. Thoth didn't only leave a deep legacy for the gods, he left it for humanity as well, writing. Without his gift, the ancient knowledge of Egypt, its magnificent history, might have been swept away by the winds. Every hieroglyph, every symbol was a work of art crafted by his hands. By teaching people how to write, he gave them the power to preserve their thoughts, beliefs, and the richness of their history forever. In each hieroglyph, in every symbol, lay his wisdom, because Thoth believed that words had a spirit. Words were the most lasting way to leave a mark on the universe. And so writing became a sacred bridge in Egypt, a path stretching from the world to the gods. Thoth was also the god who controlled the order of time. He governed the moon's cycles, the movement of the stars, and the transitions of the seasons. In Egypt, everything from agriculture to timing rituals to worship followed the order that Thoth had set. He instilled the belief that everything had its own time, and knowing that time was a form of wisdom, people would honor him and try to bring order and knowledge into their own lives by understanding his teachings. Thoth taught us the secrets of the universe, the power of writing, and the flow of time. Without his wisdom, neither these inscriptions nor those ancient secrets could have remained. Now I'm going to take you even deeper. Are you ready to discover more secrets in the light of Thoth's wisdom? Ah, my friends, the gods of Egypt and their stories aren't just relics of ancient times, hidden in sand-covered temples or whispered through riverside prayers. Their legacy still lingers in the air around us, their marks echoing through the ages, resonating in every generation. The magnificent world of Egyptian mythology didn't just stay etched on temple walls, it rebirthed itself in the depths of our imagination, in art, literature, and architecture. Now, close your eyes and imagine yourself walking through those massive structures of Egypt. The pyramids, the sphinxes, the grand columns of temples. Each one is more than just a pile of stones. They're sacred monuments dedicated to the gods. Every hieroglyph, every piece of stone was a symbol of the ancient wisdom written by Thoth, the teachings of Osiris about immortality, and the sunlight of Ra. The grandeur of the pyramids reflects not only the pharaohs but also mankind's desire to reach toward the heavens, to draw one step closer to the gods. These structures laid bare humanity's respect for divine powers, the balance it sought with nature, and its self-perception as a sacred being. And this grandeur still inspires artists today. Cinema, literature, and visual art continue to breathe life into this mythological world. Even now, Egyptian mythology lives on in the pages of books, on the silver screen, in paintings, and even in music. The stories of ancient times still captivate the modern world. Cleopatra's splendor, Anubis mystery, Osiris guidance for the afterlife, each of these echoes in the artistic heart of today's world. Perhaps that's why characters from this deep history still intrigue us, their stories spreading from one ear to the next. Moreover, the cultural heritage brought by Egyptian mythology hasn't only left its mark on art, but also on science. In fields like cosmology, medicine, and mathematics, the legacy of these ancient wisdoms remains. For the Egyptians, the universe was a system, a harmony. That's why the calendar they developed under Thoth's intellectual guidance, along with their medical knowledge, sparked a major transformation in history. Today we can still trace Egypt's early steps in medical advancements, as this ancient people didn't just pass on wisdom to their own time, but to future generations as well. So you see, the gods of Egypt and their mythological teachings didn't stay confined to ancient lands. They continue to live on in the modern world, inspiring us. The admiration we feel for Egyptian mythology today symbolizes mankind's connection to divine forces, the longing for immortality, and the desire to uncover the mysteries of the universe. And my friends, who knows, maybe one day we'll delve even deeper into this legacy, exploring the gods' footprints and discovering even more of their profound secrets. Ah, my dear friends, we've been on quite a journey, haven't we? We've traveled beyond time, visiting the ancient lands of Egypt. We've stood in the shadows of the pyramids, seen the faces of the gods, and listened to the tales of heroes and the fates of pharaohs. We've uncovered the secrets behind every god, temple, and ritual, thinking of them not just as myths, but as truths beating in the hearts of the Egyptian people. Now we come to the end of this long story, but you must know this is not the end. For Egypt's sacred gods, its mysterious world, and its thousands of years of legends are still with us, living on. Anubis' quest for immortality, Osiris' resurrection, Maat's balance of the cosmos. All of these stand before us as gifts from this ancient world. Think about it, those massive pyramids, each one isn't just a tomb. It's a symbol of humanity's defiance against death, isn't it? The prayers echoing in the mummified chambers, amidst the statues of gods, tell us of people dreaming of eternal life. Perhaps they represent the immortality wish hidden in all our hearts. And that's why, even in the modern world, Egyptian mythology still finds a place in all our minds, drawing us in. Now let me leave you with this: the stories of these ancient people never run out. Their mysteries, like the flow of the Nile, keep flowing endlessly. It's as if these legends are secrets whispered under the stars at night, remembered again and again. Egypt's gods, pharaohs, and people each teach us a universal truth. No matter how much time changes, the curiosity, the search, and the quest for self-understanding within humanity remain the same. Yes, my friends, maybe this tale ends here, but remember, there is still a song echoing in the wind of Egypt. The stories of this ancient land will someday reach your ears again, perhaps in the pages of a book, maybe in a museum, or in another story that is reborn. Now, at the end of this journey, I thank you. You've joined me in listening to these tales, walking with me in the world of the gods. But as you know, every journey's end always marks the beginning of a new story. One day, perhaps around another fire, we'll gather again, setting out on a new tale, a new legend, to distant lands. Until then, may the light of the stars above guide your way. And remember, the legacy of the gods is always with us, watching over us, protecting us, and whispering dreams of eternity into each of our hearts. Now farewell, and may you carry this ancient wisdom in your heart.